He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of 365 Sports here in beautiful New York City. I've made it back from Florida, and I'm in the freezing cold of the Big Apple. Welcome on into a Wednesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show on 365 Sports. We're here weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and you could always subscribe as you're listening and watching us right now on YouTube to our great 365 Sports channel. You could always get at me on Instagram and Twitter at Zach Gelb, that's ZACHGELB, or you can get at me also on TikTok at the Zach Gelb Show. Former New England Patriot, Pittsburgh Steeler, Seattle Seahawk, and he did play for Bill Belichick. Chad Brown going to join us coming up at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time. And I am wearing a hoodie today in solidarity for the next 2 hours with Bill Belichick, who absolutely positively just got screwed by the Pro Football Hall of Fame and one of the biggest crybabies ever and one of the biggest rats and one of the biggest pompous you-know-what a-holes that I've ever seen in Bill Polian. And I'm not glad that Bill Belichick got screwed out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility when you have the second most wins of all time, when you have 8 Super Bowl championships, 6 as a head coach, 2 as a defensive coordinator, and you hold countless amount of records. It should not even be in a conversation today. This should not even be a debate, as they have to pick 3 out of 5 people that were eligible, and you have the 50 voters who are casting their votes. How is this even a debate? And I saw last night, maybe some people left Belichick off because they wanted to use their votes on others because they knew that he was a shoo-in, blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't want to hear it. There is no rhyme or reason for it. There is no justification for it outside of 2 things. Number 1, Bill Polian's a little bitch, all right? That's just how I feel, and I'm not going to hold it back. And he's just salty. He's just so salty because the New England Patriots with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady kicked his ass and prevented him from winning so many Super Bowls. That's number 1. That's my true. Like, you tune into this show, you'll have cookie cutter broadcasters who will suck up to people and won't give you the truth. I'm giving you the truth. What I truly believe is that Bill Polian is a salty, whiny little bitch. That's what he is. And he's so annoyed. Oh, Bill and Tom, they beat me all those years. Wah! That I'm going to now say, Bill, I'm going to get back at you, and you're not going into the Hall of Fame in your first year of eligibility. Like, do you know how stupid this sounds? Bill Belichick is up for the Hall of Fame. Bill Belichick is not going into the Hall of Fame on his first try. Like, just say it with me. Bill Belichick didn't make the Hall of Fame in his first try. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't seem real. Like, you know that everyone understands how stupid Bill Polian looks and the other 10 dopes that followed Bill Polian, the blind leading the blind, where last night Twitter was unified. Twitter is a cesspool. Twitter is a joke at times. But last night, everyone was unified for a guy that people don't even like in Belichick, a team that people hate in the Patriots, and everyone goes, hey, I'm a Bills fan, Belichick got screwed. Hey, I'm a Jets fan, Belichick got screwed. Hey, I'm a Cowboys fan, can't stand Bill's guts, but he got screwed. Like, who was actually last night saying, you know what, the Hall of Fame got it right? The guy is the greatest coach in my estimation in the history of the NFL. The greatest coach. And if you want to disagree with that, he is on the Mount Rushmore of coaches. If you don't want to put him number one and you want to say like, oh, Vince Lombardi, okay. You can't name 4 coaches that are better than Bill Belichick. He's on the Mount Rushmore of NFL head coaches. And that guy doesn't make the Hall of Fame on his first try? Like, what are we doing? Shut the damn Hall of Fame down. The Hall of Fame last night lost all credibility. And I've had my battles with the Hall of Fame. I thought it was a disgrace how long they made Jerry Kramer wait. I thought it's a disgrace how long they made Leroy Butler wait. I think it's ridiculous what they're doing to Rodney Harrison right now. I've had my issues with the Hall of Fame. But can you tell the history of the game, and no disrespect to these guys, all guys that I know, can you tell the history of the game without Jerry Kramer? Yes. Can you tell the history of the game without Leroy Butler? Yes. Can you tell the history of the game without Rodney Harrison? Yes. All 3 guys, 2 of them are in, and Rodney Harrison deserves to go. Can you tell the history of the National Football League, the NFL, without Bill Belichick? Can you? You can't. There have been 59 Super Bowls. We are going to have Super Bowl 60 next Sunday. Bill Belichick has won 8 out of the 59 Super Bowls that have already gone on. 2 as a defensive coordinator with the New York Giants, and 6 as a head football coach of the Patriots. 6 plus 2 equals 8. Think about that for a second, folks. He has won 8 out of the 59 Super Bowls. And that guy's not in the Hall of Fame on his first try. It's one of the dumbest things, and this is not hyperbole. It is one of the dumbest things that I've ever seen in the history of sports. And it makes the Baseball Hall of Fame look great. Like, I think it's a joke Pete Rose isn't in. I think it's a joke Barry Bonds isn't in. I think it's a joke, and I hate this guy's guts, Roger Clemens isn't in. At least those voters are honest. At least they tell you, I didn't vote for this guy, I didn't vote for that guy, where you got 11 cowards today. Because at least 11 people kept Bill Belichick out of the Hall of Fame in his first try, and where are you? Where are your pathetic asses? And I don't need to shame you. You know, I know I just called you names. I would love to get one of you 11 pathetic human beings on this show. I would love to have a conversation. And I would just say, why didn't you vote for Bill Belichick? Why? And I would love to hear those 11 morons, those 11 Stu-nods go, Deflategate, Spygate. Bill Polian said something, so we must follow him. We're going to follow our leader. Oh, Bill was mean to me. He was mean to me. He was never nice to the media. This is our payback. Like, what are you doing? These 11 idiots, these 11 morons, these 11 dopes. If you didn't vote for Bill Belichick, you should never be allowed to vote for the Hall of Fame again. You should lose your vote. It's that simple. This guy is arguably the greatest coach of all time. There have been 59 freaking Super Bowls. He has won 8. Once again, 6 as the head coach of the Patriots, 2 as the defensive coordinator with the New York Football Giants. And you dopes listen to Bill Polian, who can't even remember who he voted for. You dopes listen to a salty bitch in Bill Polian, who's still annoyed that Brady and Belichick kicked his ass for all those years. And he's still whining, and he wants his payback. Like, what's the, Spygate, Deflategate. Nonsense. Nonsense, nonsense, nonsense. Oh, Bill didn't answer my question once in a press conference setting. Nonsense. I want to know who those 11 cowards were, those 11 clowns were that didn't vote Bill Belichick into the Hall of Fame in his first try. And you know what makes you a bunch of cowards? You can't even defend your argument. You can't even defend your vote. We're sitting here. It's January 28th, 9 minutes past 2 o'clock here on the East Coast. We found this out last night. And since then, not one person has come on out and has emphatically said and clearly said, I didn't vote for Bill Belichick. If you're one of those 11, I don't respect you, but at least I would respect you if one of you weasels would actually come on out and own what you did. This guy's one of the greatest coaches ever, if not the greatest coach ever. I think he is the greatest coach ever. You can't tell the history of the game without Bill Belichick. It is physically impossible. And those dopes don't make him a Hall of Famer on his first try? Why? I want to know today why. I reached out to Tony Dungy. Didn't get back to me. But I asked Tony Dungy. He gets a vote. I said, did you vote for him? I want to get you on the record. I reached out to a few other Hall of Fame voters who claim they voted for him. I want to know today, and I want to hear today from someone why they didn't vote for Bill Belichick. Because it makes no damn sense outside of you got hypnotized by that dope and Bill Polian, or you're just upset that Bill wasn't the nicest to you. Give me a goddamn effing break. Seriously. And I'm sorry for some of the profanity, but this is one of those topics where I'm very happy I'm no longer on the radio and I'm on a platform like this. Because I am fuming. I am furious. I am disgusted. Because I said this the first day that I got on these airwaves. The first day I got on this channel, 365 Sports, I said, I'm a very simple man. You'll get my unfiltered opinion. It will be well-researched. It will be backed up. I'll give you personality. I'll give you facts. We'll talk to some of the biggest names in the game on this show. We'll entertain. We'll have some fun. We'll share some laughs. But I made it very clear. When I rant, when I'm furious, when I'm annoyed, you'll know. And today's one of those days where if you can't tell with the last 11 minutes, I'm pissed off. I am pissed off. And you know why I'm pissed off? Because this doesn't make any damn sense. This is incompetence to a T, and that's what gets my blood boiling. When people are incompetent, when something makes such perfect sense and something should happen, Bill Belichick is eligible for the Hall of Fame. He should be a first-time Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer. It is as clear can be. There's no gray here. This is a black or white issue. It's a yes or no, and it's obvious. Should Bill Belichick be in the Hall of Fame in his first try? It's yes. It's yes. It's yes. It's yes. And we're sitting here, and Bill Polian, you are getting sleepy. You are getting sleepy. That's what he did to those Hall of Fame voters. And he got 10 of you to say, no, I'm not going to vote for Bill Belichick. Huh? Are you kidding me? Like, what the F are we doing? Where Bill Belichick isn't in the Hall of Fame. And I was on a text group last night with all of our folks here in the 365 family. Everyone was stunned. I was seeing John Valade's text. I was seeing Paul. I was seeing Smokey. And at first, Bill Polian tried to sell you. I guess in the first interview that he did, oh, no, I voted for Bill Belichick because it came out in the Seth Wickersham article and Don Van Natta Jr. that Belichick will not be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And it did go on to say in this article that multiple sources told ESPN that Spygate and Deflategate, the twin cheating scandals during the Patriots championship run, came up in deliberations among voters. A voter spoke on condition of anonymity, said that Polian, an ardent supporter of Kraft and former general manager of the Buffalo Bills and Indianapolis Colts, a chief Patriots rival during their dynasty, told some voters he believed Belichick should wait a year before induction as penance for Spygate, the 2007 cheating scandal that cost the team a first-round draft pick. Commissioner Roger Goodell also fined Belichick $500,000 and the Patriots $250,000. The only explanation for the outcome was the cheating stuff. A veteran Hall voter told ESPN on Tuesday it really bothered some of those guys. So in that article that was initially released, it is set up that basically this was the doing of Bill Polian It also mentioned Tony Dungy, but when you further got into the article, this was a Bill Polian hit job. That's what this was. Bill Polian led this on this hit job against Bill Belichick to try to keep him out of the Hall of Fame, because Bill Polian, who got in the Hall of Fame, hey, Bill, we could tell the history without you of the NFL. There is no doubt about it. Bill Polian, we could tell the history. Let me be clear about these Bills. Bill Polian, we could tell the history of the NFL without your sorry ass. And I don't want to take away from your career, but the arrogance of this guy that's in the Hall of Fame, and this should be a sacred place to him to say, yeah, we don't want Belichick in right away, and now you made a mockery out of the Hall of Fame. Shame on you, Bill Polian. Shame on you. And I feel bad beating up on an elderly man right now, but he's disgraceful. He's despicable. And how 10 other people in that room listened to Bill Polian. What the heck? And you know what? I am a Patriot fan. You know that if you listen to this show. And I couldn't stand the Indianapolis Colts. And I always could not stand Bill Polian because he's a whiny little bitch. That's what he is. And that's the reality of the situation. He would always lose and he would make excuses. Oh, let me change the PI. Oh, Ty Law, too aggressive. The Patriots too aggressive. Oh, we didn't win. We have to justify why we didn't win. Wah! And this is the crap he pulls. The job of a voter is to be unbiased and to put the greatest people that we've ever seen that shaped the NFL into the Hall of Fame and honor their legacies. How can you leave Bill Belichick out on your vote? On your ballot? How could you do that on the first try? Like, what the heck are we doing? Now, in an interview, this is where Polian, the guy has torched his legacy. He has. Like, I don't think this is in the moment. I don't think that this is a hot take. I don't think this is something I'm just worked up about, that in a month from now or a week from now, I'll come down and I'll change my opinion, or next year when Bill Belichick gets in, that I'm going to say, you know what, I forgive Bill Polian. This is unforgivable by Bill Polian. It's unforgivable, and even all the things that Bill Polian has done for this league, they just went up in thin air. They evaporated. His legacy, his Hall of Fame legacy is now burning. It's burning. It's burning, and it's going right to the ground, Bill Polian. Because many people like me are going to remember Bill Polian. If you talk about Bill Polian in 10 years, what's the first thing that's going to come to mind? This guy kept Bill Belichick out of the Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. And he didn't have the guts to stand by the pathetic things he did. So in an interview with ESPN on Tuesday night, listen to this. Listen to this jackassery. Polian denied telling fellow voters that Belichick should serve a one-year penance for Spygate. He said he heard his fellow voters float the idea, but insisted he didn't agree or disagree with the proposal. Polian said he voted for Kraft, even spoke up on his behalf during the deliberation, saying Kraft had no knowledge of the Spygate scheme. Polian added that he could not remember with 100% certainty if he voted for Belichick, saying he was 95% sure he voted for a coach and a player, most likely Greenwood. I was shocked to learn Bill didn't get in, Polian said. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Hold up. You can't remember? Bill Polian, I don't know where you are from a health standpoint. And if you are going through health issues, I don't wish bad health on anybody. And I'm not wishing bad health on you. But if you are in good health and you just had this vote 2 weeks ago and you didn't vote for Bill Belichick, or let me give you the benefit of the doubt, you did vote for Bill Belichick. How can't you remember with 100% certainty that you did or didn't vote for him? Like, if my ass is held to the fire right now and everyone's coming at Zach Gelb and they're like, oh, Zach Gelb didn't vote for Bill Belichick. And I go, yeah, I voted for him. And those are words that come out of my mouth. And then moments later and sentences later, I go, but I can't remember with 100% certainty that I voted for him. Well, then you didn't vote for him. And no one knows what the F you're trying to say. Like, if you put a gun to my head right now, do I believe that Bill Polian voted for Bill Belichick? I don't for a single second. And last night, when I was texting with Smokey and Paul, and, Smokey and Paul, they're logical people. Like, they're trying to make sense out of this, and they're following what's being reported, and it gets reported on social media. Oh, Bill Polian denies these claims. And Smokey and Paul are texting me this stuff, and I didn't buy it for a second. Because I know how much of a douchey McDouche face one Bill Polian can be. And then you see the Bill Polian quote, I can't remember who I voted for. Then guess what, Bill? The game has passed you by, and you shouldn't be voting. If Bill Polian can't remember who he voted for, then Bill Polian should not be allowed to vote for the Hall of Fame. And if Bill Polian led this charge against Bill Belichick, shame on Bill Polian, but shame the other 10 other knuckleheads, right? Those knuckleheads that didn't end up voting Bill Belichick into the Hall of Fame. And the one thing I disagree with, there is a process. Clearly, I don't like the process. Clearly, I don't believe in the process. But I do respect the process, even though that's painful for me to say today. So there are people that are saying, oh, the Hall of Fame needs to save face here. The Hall of Fame needs to overturn this. And the Hall of Fame needs to say, guys, we got this wrong. It's a disgrace to the Hall of Fame. We put Bill Belichick in. No. You can't do that. You cannot do that. You can't. And that's not how I want Bill Belichick to get into the Hall of Fame, because it would be a joke. Next year, vote him. Next year, voters, don't listen to Bill Polian. Take away Bill Polian's vote. Do an investigation. It's not that hard. Look at the ballots. You got him. Did Bill Polian, did he vote? Did he vote for Bill Belichick? If he did, Bill, I'll be the first person to say, I'm sorry. I apologize. All those things I just said about you for the last 20 minutes, I take them all back. But when it comes out that he didn't, Bill Polian should lose his vote, because he's lying to us. He said he voted for him, but he can't remember. Can't remember my ass. Like, give me a break. Give me a GD effing break. Seriously. Like, imagine a week ago if I got on this show and I said Bill Belichick shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame on his first try. You would all laugh me off the air. This show would lose all respect, and it would lose all credibility, and everyone would be sitting there and they'd be like, dude, this guy Zach Gelb is just sitting there for clicks. And notice, the two people that defended these actions are Skip Bayless and Rob Parker. Rob Parker, who's made a career just being anti-Patriot, anti-Belichick, anti-Brady. Rob Parker is supporting those voters. Skip Bayless, right, does a 12-minute video, because that's like, so he does all this heavy breathing now, Skip. It's so weird. Skip Bayless is supporting this. I made it in, I think, 21 seconds of that video before I just had to click it. Because Skip Bayless said, oh, Bill Belichick doesn't deserve to go in his first year in the Hall of Fame. He shouldn't be in there on the first try. Well, if Bill Belichick doesn't deserve to go, then who does? Who does? I'm being dead serious. If Bill Belichick isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, who else in the history of football deserves to be a first ballot Hall of Famer? Oh, I know someone, Tom Brady. Well, if you made Robert Kraft wait, if you made Bill Belichick wait, are you guys really going to make the greatest football player, the greatest quarterback of all time, and Tom Brady wait when he's eligible? Are you? Are you? Like, some of these people, former coaches, writers, executives, whoever these 11 students were that did not vote for Bill Belichick, I want to know why. I just want to know why. And I understand I'm fired up in the last 22 minutes. I'm going to be fired up for the rest of the day. You come on this show. I want to hear from you. You tell us why. We'll do a respectful interview. Yeah, I'm going to press your ass. There's no doubt about it on the questions. You know, there will be a little confrontation. I'm not going to yell at you, though. I'm not going to call you names. You know, I may eventually hang up on you and tell you that you are an idiot and a dope once you get off the show. But I want to hear you out on why you didn't vote Bill Belichick. And if I don't believe that your answer is real and that your answer is genuine, your answer is authentic, I'm going to follow up on those questions if we ever find out who your 11 cowards were. That's what I want to know. You're entitled to your vote, but how did you get to your vote? Because right now, you're basically saying, this should have been 2 + 2 = 4, right? The voters are trying to tell you 2 + 5 = 4 right now. That's what they're trying to tell you. And that math, and I'm not great at math, that math isn't mathing to me. It's not computing. But if you get on this show and you say something other than, oh, Spygate, oh, Deflategate, or Bill Belichick once hurt my feelings, I thought he was a jerk to the media, so now I'm holding it against him. If you don't say one of those three things, then your answer is a bunch of bullcrap. Because I do think there's people that are going to look at Spygate and Deflategate, which Belichick had nothing to do with really in Deflategate. And Spygate was so overblown. Let's be real. I do think that there's going to be people that will hold that against him. I do. And then I do think there's some people that are sensitive that Belichick wasn't always nice when he's at the podium and you would ask him a question. He'd be like, yeah, he's a good player, and give you absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. If it's not one of those three reasons, then what is your reason? Because there's no flaw in the Belichick resume. There's not a flaw in the resume. There have been 59 Super Bowls in the history of the NFL. He's won 8 of them. 8. 2 as a defensive coordinator and 6 as a head coach. That guy's not deserving of going to the Hall of Fame, though. He's not deserving of going to the Hall of Fame in his first try. What a joke. So this was me yesterday. I was out in Florida, and I was sitting down, getting ready to eventually go to dinner. I was probably about to go in the shower. And I see this alert that Bill Belichick didn't get voted into the Hall of Fame on his first try. And I thought it was fake news. I did. I didn't think that was real news. I thought it was just a troll job. You never know what to believe on the internet these days. And I had to storm out of my grandmother's house, and I had to give you this reaction. This was my reaction yesterday when I found out that Bill Belichick wasn't going to the Hall of Fame in his first try.
I've always hated Bill Polian. I've always hated him. But what he's done right now is a new low. We know his Lamar Jackson take was shit. Oh, he should move positions. The guy's a 2-time MVP. Now, arguably, the greatest coach in the history of the NFL is up for the Hall of Fame, and Bill Polian leads the charge. Oh, Spygate. Oh, Deflategate. We got to show Bill. He's got to wait a year. And Bill Belichick, in his first year of eligibility, isn't going to the Hall of Fame. The man's won 6. Sorry for the profanity. 6 fucking Super Bowls, Bill. And because you hate the Patriots and you hate Bill Belichick, we're going to keep him out of the Hall of Fame on his first try. Do you know how stupid that is? Arguably, the greatest coach of all time is going to have to wait at least a year to get into the Hall of Fame. It doesn't make any sense. Whoever voted and said Bill Belichick shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame on their first try, they should lose their vote. And you know what, Bill Polian, since you led this charge, you should be kicked out of the Hall of Fame. Bill Belichick doesn't belong right away, but you do. What the heck are we doing? Screw Bill Polian. I can't stand that guy. Go bitch about pass interference. Go bitch about Bill Belichick. You're just annoyed because Bill kicked your ass too many times.
Whenever Bill Belichick does get into the Hall of Fame and they put his bust in Canton, Ohio, they should have it staring right in the eyes, that statue staring right in the eyes of Bill Polian's, because it'd be fitting. Because still to this day, Bill Polian is haunted by Bill Belichick. And that's the only explanation for this bullcrap. I thought Jimmy Johnson was great yesterday, by the way. Jimmy Johnson on social media was hilarious. Jimmy Johnson tweeted out, I would like to know the names of the assholes who did not vote for him. They are too cowardly to identify themselves. And he's right. Like, how does this come out yesterday evening? And we're sitting here today. It's now 27 minutes past the hour, 2:27 p.m. Eastern time, 1:27 p.m. Central time. And we've not been able to identify, obviously, and like clearly, who didn't vote for Bill Belichick. How haven't we, at least one person doesn't have the guts to at least say, yes, with 100% certainty, I can remember not voting for Bill Belichick. And I want to know what your explanation is. I would love to know what the explanation is. But those 11 people right now, they're scurrying. They're scurrying. And they're annoyed because now their ass is getting held to the fire and people want answers because this is a disservice to the NFL that Bill Belichick is not getting into the Hall of Fame on his first year of eligibility. Let's hear from Tom Brady. He did an appearance today on Seattle radio with Mike Salk and Brock Heward. This is Tom Brady reacting to his legendary coach, Bill Belichick, not making the Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility.
How did you react yesterday or this morning when you heard that Bill was not selected to be in the Hall of Fame in his first shot?
You know, I just think that, to me, I don't understand it. I mean, I was with them every day. If he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, there's really no coach that should ever be a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is completely ridiculous because people deserve it. And he's incredible. There's no coach I'd ever want to play for. I'd rather play for. If I'm picking one coach to go out there to win a Super Bowl, give me one season, I'm taking Bill Belichick. So that's enough said. There's nothing outside of that. You know, again, when it comes down to votes and, you know, popularity and all that, like, you know, then welcome to the world of voting, and you may as well go, you know, try out for the Oscars or whatever and, you know, get a big panel to tell you if you're good or not. So it's the way it works. And that's, unfortunately, you know, he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. In the end, I'm not worried about that. You know, and a lot of times in life, you know, for all of us, you know, things don't happen exactly how you want them on your timeline, but we'll all be there to celebrate him when it does happen. And he's going to have a huge turnout from so many players, coaches that appreciated everything that he did and the commitment that he made to winning and the impact that he had on all our lives. And that'll be a great celebration when it happens.
Brady is classy. Tom Brady is my favorite quarterback, my favorite athlete of all time. I didn't want Tom Brady to be classy there. I think Tom Brady should have said, hey, I've read the same articles you have. I've heard the same speculation as you have. If the speculation is true, and I know Mr. Button-Up, politician Tom Brady's not going to say this, but I would have loved if Tom Brady would have said this. We know our history with the Colts. We know who was behind this. It's that little whiny, crybaby, salty bitch in Bill Polian that prevented our great head coach from getting into the Hall of Fame and the greatest head coach of all time from getting the Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. Tom, that's what I wanted from you. I know it's unrealistic to ask that. I know you were never giving us that, but that's what I wanted to hear from Tom Brady, because let me let you in on a secret. If you can't tell with the last half hour of gold that we've just done, it's the truth. It's the truth. That's the truth. Bill Polian led this charge, and Bill Polian won. It's one of the few times that Bill Polian was actually able to defeat the great Bill Belichick. Because come on, if you really weren't a part of this, if you really didn't vote this way, if you really didn't lead this charge, wouldn't you make it clear and obvious? And then some people wouldn't have still believed you. But the fact that you said that you are 95% sure you voted for the coach and a player, and you can't even tell me 100% sure after saying you voted for him, I only have to believe what I feel. And it's based off what you said. Only you know the answer to that. Did you vote for him? Did you vote for Bill Belichick? Right? The process is you get 3 votes out of the 5. You had 5 guys that were eligible. You get 3 votes. Was Bill Belichick one of your 3 votes? Yes or no? It's not like, oh, well, this, that, this, that. No. It's a yes or it's a no. It's a yes or it's a no. It's a yes or it's a no. It's that simple, Bill Polian. It's not, oh, it was 95% yes, but 5% no. No. It's a yes or it's a no. And you can't tell me? Well, if you can't remember, then you shouldn't be voting for the Hall of Fame. And then also, if you didn't vote yes for Bill Belichick, you should lose your vote. It's one of the most egregious things that I've ever seen in the history of sports, that arguably the greatest coach of all time, someone that's on the Mount Rushmore of coaching, isn't a Hall of Famer in his first year of eligibility. Like, what? What? Like, what are we doing? What is wrong with you 11 dopes that didn't vote Bill Belichick into the Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility? What is wrong with you? You can't justify it outside of the fact that the people that played are annoyed that he always beat you, and you're still salty about that, or you're annoyed that Bill Belichick was probably a D-bag to you when you were doing your job as a media member at the podium. That's not what I want about the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame isn't, oh, who was nice. The Hall of Fame wasn't, oh, how do I get back at the wars on the field that are already over and how do I get back years later. No, it's about honoring the history of the game. That's what it's about. It's about telling the history of the game, and it's physically impossible to tell the history of the NFL without Bill Belichick. 8 Super Bowls he's won. 8. There's only been 59. He's won 8. 6 as a head coach, 2 as a defensive coordinator. And that guy doesn't get in on his first try? Go take your cheating and shove it. Shove it up your ass. All right? Go take, oh, he was mean to me. Shove it up your ass. Go take, oh, I lost to him so many times. I'm salty. Shove it up your keister. All right? I don't want to hear any of that nonsense. How Bill Belichick isn't having a bust engraved right now and being made up right now for the ceremony in the summer is just a disgrace to the Hall of Fame. And it makes me look at the Hall of Fame, and this is something, you honor the guys, the legends of this game, right? The people that really built the NFL and continue to make the NFL into the billions and billions and billions of dollars they make each and every year. And I just laugh at it. The Hall of Fame now has no meaning to me. They screwed Terrell Owens years ago. They're screwing Bill Belichick right now. And the people that vote for this, and it's not all of them, right? Many of them do a good job, and they should be respected. But the 11 people that didn't vote Bill Belichick in, and if it's more than 11, God help us. But the 11 people, bare minimum, that didn't vote him in, how do you look at yourself in the mirror? But you know what? I at least want you to look yourself in the mirror, and I at least want you to say publicly, embrace what you did. I didn't vote Bill Belichick, and then tell us why. I want to hear from you rats. I want to know why. I want answers now. I'm like Jack Bauer in 24. I want answers right now. And if you don't start telling us, I'm going to be starting to cut off your fingers. Give us the answers. Give us your pathetic answers, you cowards. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports.
For the past 4 years, we have trusted Jackery to keep us powered while on the road. The Explorer 5000 Plus provides 5,040 watt hours of portable power. Pair it with the smart transfer switch to power your entire house off the Explorer 5000 Plus.
I had a panic moment running my hands through my hair, and that's when I found Keeps. Keeps gave me the results that I was really looking for.
I definitely felt a lot more confident once I saw my hair coming back.
Keeps has given me the control of my hair back.
Get your first month free at Keeps.com.
Number 1, the best bang for your buck. Number 2, we put out educational content. Number 3, our customer service and sales team. Number 4, we work to ship all orders out same or next day. Number 5, reviews. Let the games begin.
Meet Beagle, your financial concierge. Find your old 401k. Discover your 401k hidden fees. Roll over and save thousands. Unlock your 401k and IRA. MeetBeagle.com.
The Lumi Charge is an all-in-one home desk lamp, speaker, and phone charger. It is a great...
I need that for my son when he goes off to college.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Well, where do we go from here? It's the Zach Gelb Show on 365 Sports. I have not crashed out like that in a long time. That was 35 minutes right off the dome of just telling you how much I think it's a disgrace that what the voters did that did not put Bill Belichick in the Hall of Fame. Could you imagine, Garrett Ross, if this is all a farce and Seth Wickersham and company just got it wrong, and it comes out when we're at the Super Bowl that Bill Belichick actually got into the Hall of Fame?
Oh, dude, if that happens, there's going to be so many people eating crow and apologizing. Like, you're going to be first one lined up. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That's ridiculous, man.
I still can't believe it. Like, there's dumb things that happen in sports, but whether you think he's the greatest coach or not, he's on the Mount Rushmore of coaching. Like, I think he is the greatest head coach of all time. And how that guy doesn't get in right away, it's almost as if I thought like the committee just wanted to troll us to just make the Hall of Fame more relevant than what it already is.
Man, I don't know. Like, I don't know if this maybe gets you more attention on this class, like, or what, but I don't understand the whole thought process behind this. This is like Kobe or Michael Jordan coming up and you not giving them a first ballot, right? This is absolutely ridiculous. You don't have somebody who is the standard, the face of a whole sport. And not only that, but like the largest sport outside of soccer nationally in the world, and not let them in on the first ballot. That's absolutely ridiculous. I don't care if you take in all the stuff that's going on right now with North Carolina and how you do think, dude, this is literally
it's the Pro Football Hall of Fame, though.
Exactly. You got 8 fucking championships. Put him in.
Wow. First time was that a curse from Garrett? I don't think I've ever heard you curse.
Oh, bro, I cuss all the time.
I thought you guys from the South are just all such nice, sweet people.
Not quite. Not quite. Not quite.
But I will say this, and I think people are going to find this funny. I actually think this is a win for Bill Belichick. And here's why. The last 3 or 4 years, people have been just tar and feathering Bill Belichick because Belichick hasn't always been the nicest to people. Belichick can be a jerk. And people the last few years, because Belichick kicked your team's ass for so many years, they are loving taking shots at Bill Belichick. All right, in New England, Brady leaves. Brady wins the Super Bowl without him. All right, yeah, you made the playoffs 1 year with Mac Jones, but then the team bottomed out, and now you're at UNC. You got some 23, 25, I don't even know how old she is, in Jordan Hudson, basically controlling your wife, you're controlling your life, and she has you basically on puppet strings, and she is emasculating the greatest head football coach of all time. And now Bill Belichick can't get a job in the NFL, and Bill Belichick hasn't become the winningest coach of all time because that's Don Shula in terms of wins, not championships. And people have been enjoying taking these shots, and it has annoyed me. And Bill has deserved a lot of this, but it has annoyed me that people are making it out that Bill Belichick is some joke, and Bill Belichick can no longer coach, and Bill Belichick, like, he's just a dummy and he was just a product of Brady. Like, those things are said, and they annoy me. Now, I've always said this. Tom Brady was more important to the Patriots dynasty than Bill Belichick. But it doesn't mean Bill Belichick was some bum. Last time I checked, Tom Brady wasn't the number 1 overall pick in the draft. He wasn't a first-round pick. He wasn't a second-round pick. He wasn't a third-round pick. He wasn't a fourth-round pick. He wasn't a fifth-round pick. He was a 6th-round draft pick. A 6th-round draft pick, 199 overall. They had like 4 quarterbacks on the roster. Teams don't carry 4 quarterbacks on their active roster. Guess who was carried? Tom Brady. By who? Bill Belichick. So you do all these things, and the earlier stages of the early 2000s Patriots, that was defense first. Yes, Brady had some clutch throws. There's no doubt about it. Brady had clutch tries. And then even the second wave of the dynasty, yes, Brady was magnificent in the AFC Championship game. 3rd down, he was automatic up against the Chiefs. But in the Super Bowl, they won the game 13-3. That was a product of the defense. So sure, Belichick will say, players win championships, coaches lose them. And yes, I hated the Malcolm Butler situation. I did. That was one that Bill lost because of Bill's arrogance and Bill's cockiness and Bill just being stubborn. But the Patriots aren't the Patriots as we know them today without Bill Belichick. And the last 3-4 years, actually, Belichick has been taking a lot of shots from many people. But yesterday it comes out that Bill Belichick isn't going to the Hall of Fame. And Patriot hater or Patriot lover, everyone can agree that this is an idiotic decision. This is an asinine decision. This is a bullcrap decision. It's hogwash. And for the first time in 3 or 4 years, Bill Belichick has become someone that people have sympathy for. And this has been something where now it's like, okay, look at this clown Bill Polian. But Bill, like, he's the greatest coach of all time or one of the greatest coaches of all time. How doesn't he get in? So Garrett, in a weird way, I think this is a good thing to happen to Bill Belichick because I think now people are going to ease up on Belichick and they're just going to wait and wait and wait until he gets to the Hall of Fame. So I don't thank Bill Polian because I think he's a jackass. I do. But Bill Polian has completely just blew up his legacy. And he's a Hall of Famer. And because, like, I will remember now Bill Polian for being the guy that led the charge from the way the story has been presented to us, being the guy that led the charge that prevented Bill Belichick from getting in the Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. Like, Garrett, I don't see how anyone else could see this differently now, where Belichick is in a weird time now, popular, and people feel bad. People hate Belichick. They feel bad for Belichick because this guy, Bill Polian, is a bozo.
No, it's definitely like a flipped scenario for him because I think most people right now hate his guts. I think for me personally, like I've always respected what he was able to do, but just the way he did the media and stuff, I know it got on people's nerves. I also kind of thought it was funny too. There was a lot of times where he did things that were showmanship, or he kind of laid the foundation for how people handle injuries, the media, yada, yada. But his resume speaks for itself. It's inexcusable for you to come up and not be brought into the Hall of Fame. I do think you bring up a good point now because he's been shit on the whole time for the North Carolina thing. Jordan Hudson is very awkward. It's very uncomfortable and weird. But at the same time, like, you're right. I think honestly, if he goes out this year and they actually start winning a little bit, and then you're easing off on this, and then it's like, well, did he figure out college? Like, we might be seeing a renaissance here of the whole Bill Belichick motion in college.
You know what? I would love a Bill Polian Bleep You tour. Like, if Bill, I know it can't happen because then he wouldn't be eligible for the Hall of Fame. But whenever there was controversy surrounding the Patriots, they would rally around it. And I don't think it translates to these college kids because these college kids will be like, who the heck is Bill Polian? Like, a lot of these college kids, they just don't know the history of football. And I look at this and I would love to see Belichick go on a Bleep You tour. But here's the thing. I am do a little win-loss here with me, Garrett Ross. I'll give you the game. You tell me if it's going to be a win or a loss for UNC this year.
Let's do it.
They open up against TCU again.
That's going to be a loss.
Then they play ETSU. Eastern Tennessee State University?
Yeah, they should beat Eastern Tennessee State. So we're 1-1. We're 1-1.
Then they are at Clemson.
Man, I'm going to give them a loss.
I agree.
I'm going to give them a loss, but I think they could have the potential to make it interesting.
Notre Dame.
That's a loss. You're not beating Notre Dame.
Schedule.
Dude, Notre Dame's like absolutely loaded coming back next year. You're not beating that.
At Pitt.
That's doable. Like, which Pitt shows up, because last year they were so inconsistent the entire year. I know Holstein's gone. That's a winnable game. That is a winnable game. I'm not guaranteeing it, but that's one you can win.
Okay, so you give them 2 wins right there. At Duke. No Darian Mensah. The receiver's gone. Okay.
Syracuse. Yeah, I like Fran Brown. I just think there's too much turnover, and I kind of don't know where that program is right now. That's winnable. Yeah, you could win that game.
Miami.
No.
Yeah. At UConn.
Tricky.
No more Mora. Candle now the coach.
Yeah, I think you can win. Yeah, I think UConn's kind of in the dust now.
Louisville.
No, you're not beating Louisville.
At Virginia after their magical season.
No, I like what Tony Elliott does. I think he's brought in some good guys to replenish what he lost. I think Virginia beats them.
NC State.
I'm going to give the edge to NC State. I think Dave Doran's a better college coach. Now, I think the roster's going to be pretty similar, but rivalry game, I like what Doran does from a college perspective. I'll give the Wolfpack the win.
I can't really disagree with anything that you just said, and we have them at 5 wins.
So, and that's about what you're going to get, right? But to me, that's significantly better than where you were. It still sucks, and it's like, what the hell? He's getting 5 wins, but the
5 wins. It's really sad that Belichick is coaching at UNC. The Falcons. Well, the Falcons have this whole thing up.
Yeah.
And I've talked to Arthur Blank about this, and he's denied that Belichick was ever offered the job. But, like, I think the truth of that situation is that Bill Belichick and the Falcons. That was going to be the marriage. That's Belichick put all of his eggs in that basket, ironically, with 28-3.
That's what I say. How much of that came into play?
and Arthur Blank wanted to hire Bill Belichick, but then Arthur Blank sat back there and he talked to Terry Fontenot. He talked to Rich McKay, both guys that are now out of the organization. And those guys were fearful that they would lose their power. They would lose their control if Belichick would come on in, which I get.
Right.
But they whispered into the ear of Arthur Blank, and this is where Arthur Blank didn't have the guts to stand up to his guys and do what's right. Arthur Blank then got persuaded by those two bozos to get Bill Belichick not the job, and then Raheem Morris eventually got the job. Now he's out of it, and you got Kevin Stefanski there. But if Belichick was the coach of the Falcons the last 2 years, I will say this, they make the playoffs one time.
Do you think
they definitely make the playoffs one time.
Do you think he comes back to the NFL?
I think he would do it in a second. I think he wants to. I don't think he has a chance to come back to the NFL.
Like everybody's just going to blackball him, essentially?
Well, I don't know if it's blackballing, but I think now professional coaching, it's a doormat. Excuse me. Let me rephrase this. You got to be a player's coach, with Bill Belichick isn't, but you can't be a doormat.
Right.
We know Bill Belichick isn't a player's coach, and we know he's not a doormat. So I don't think his style is what teams are looking for anymore.
That's fair.
And it was going to take someone like Arthur Blank immediately right away to get Bill Belichick as the next head coach and bring him in with the Falcons. And once that ship has sailed and he didn't wait and he went to UNC, and this year it was ugly. And Bill does it to himself. The Jordan Hudson stuff, it's ugly. It is a messy, sloppy situation. And I just don't think an organization is going to give him that opportunity, because he has now been out of coaching in the pro ranks for 2 years. 2 years. And if you're going to be out on a third year, I just don't think there's a great chance. And he's not going to be, obviously, in the cycle. There's only 2 jobs left. Imagine if Brady hires him now. Bill, I feel bad for you. The Raiders are going to go give you a job. And he's not coaching the Arizona Cardinals. After being out for 3 years, I don't think he's getting another opportunity. And he's only getting closer and closer to 80. By the way, just to give you one non-Belichick point here, the Cleveland Browns, they have hired Todd Monken as their next head coach. My immediate reaction to this is that the Cleveland Browns are going to be hiring a new head football coach in a year or two. I think the Browns are going to stink this year. I think the Browns are going to go try to draft a quarterback next year. Obviously, they're not going to go get Fernando Mendoza this year. I would not take another quarterback in the first round. I think you're kind of in play for Arch Manning, whoever that quarterback does that emerge. And could you keep Monken around for another year? Yes. Could you maybe get rid of Monken? To me, Todd Monken was not a hot commodity as a head coach. And I would have gone with the guy from LA. I would have given him an opportunity. Shellhouse. I would have said, okay, younger, McVay tree, give him that opportunity. And it was him or Monken that was going to get the job, or Jim Schwartz. And now we'll see if Jim Schwartz sticks around. There's conflicting reports on that. If I'm hiring Todd Monken, which the Browns just did, I'd rather hire Jim Schwartz. I'd rather give him another opportunity. Monken doesn't excite me. And in big moments, especially that AFC Championship game, and I know Cleveland Browns fans love to be in an AFC Championship game, he did a terrible job in the play calling. An absolutely terrible job in the play calling up against the Kansas City Chiefs at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. It was brutal, absolutely brutal. And I understand Monken knows Cleveland a little bit. I know Monken's been in the NFL, back in the NFL last few years. Before that was at Georgia. That's just a hire that if I'm a fan of the Cleveland Browns today, here we go, Brownies, here we go, it doesn't excite me. And I think that Todd Monken, I'm assuming he gets a 5-year contract, 4-year contract, whatever it is, he's not going to make it past year 2. If Todd Monken gets 3 years in Cleveland, if he starts year 3 in Cleveland, I'll be very, very surprised. Mike McCarthy was introduced yesterday as the head football coach of the Steelers. Here is an emotional Mike McCarthy on taking the Steelers job. Obviously, he grew up as a Steelers fan.
All right, here we go. Thank you, Art. I think I thought at least be able to get started. Oftentimes coaches and players, you put on new team colors, and it takes a minute to feel comfortable in those new colors. But to be blessed beyond any measure, one day to put on the colors you wore since you brought home. I apologize. Brett, I told you not to sit my family down here in front. This is so unfair. When you come home from Mercy Hospital, I do want to thank Art Art Rooney, Omar Khan, Dan Rooney, and the entire Steelers organization for the trust they placed in me to represent one of the most storied franchises in all of sports. I understand and embrace the responsibility, the privilege, and the weight that comes with this stewardship. This city, this franchise, this fan base means the world to me because Pittsburgh's my world, and it's just awesome to be back here. I do want to thank two men I'm very fortunate to call friends, Mike Tomlin and Bill Cowher. They've represented this organization with such class, and I'm honored to follow in their footsteps. They left the proverbial cupboard full, for sure. My family, my loves, my wife Jessica, kids Alex and Danny, Jack, George, Gabby, and Izzy, my parents, Joe and Ellen McCarthy, my sisters, Kelly, Ellen, and Colleen, and the crew that's here. We can finally openly wear our Steelers swag, so let's get it. My heart is full, my focus is singular, and it's time to bring another championship back to this great city. And with that, I just want to make sure that when we do get that trophy, that the 7th trophy in the case, we'll start that victory parade at 1137 Greenfield Avenue. So, with
It's impossible in that moment to not feel good for Mike McCarthy, a guy that was a coach of the Packers, won a Super Bowl, beat the Steelers, by the way. Then was in Dallas the last 4 years, made the playoffs 3 out of 4 years. I didn't think he was going to be a head coach again. I really didn't. I was surprised how much of a potential draw he was in the last hiring cycle. I didn't really think he was going to be a big part of this hiring cycle. And he's sitting up there on the stage, right? Hometown team, area he grew up in. And he's just an emotional wreck because this moment means so much to him. That's cool. It really is. It's a heartwarming experience. But with that being said, I think that was a lateral move by the Steelers. Tomlin gets, he resigns. Then you go to McCarthy. I would have gone with more inexperience. I would have gone with more of the unknown. I would have tried a Clint Kubiak. I would have tried a Chris Shula. I'd rather go that route because do I think you're winning that Lombardi trophy with Mike McCarthy and with the Pittsburgh Steelers? No. I don't view him as a coach that's going to win a Super Bowl again. Now, who's going to be your quarterback? Obviously, he has the relationship with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was just with the Steelers this past season. A big reason why he did go to Pittsburgh was because of his relationship with Mike Tomlin. McCarthy and Rodgers ended on bad terms, but would Mike McCarthy be interested in bringing back Aaron Rodgers? That was asked yesterday at his news conference.
I'm not asking this from any other perspective except your own personal preference. In your best case scenario, do you want Aaron Rodgers back as your quarterback next year?
That's nice the way he asked that, right? That was slick. But, I mean, definitely. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't. But, I think just like anything, knowing Aaron long enough, going through seasons, I think when players, to see Mel Blunt here, I mean, when guys are up at that stage of their career, they need to step away and decompress. I think that's very important. The game is so emotional, what these men commit to and what they put into it. I think that time away is important, and I have spoken to Aaron, and so that's really where we are there. But I was able to sit back and watch the games. I watched most of the Pittsburgh games on TV, and I thought he was a great asset for the team.
I don't know. Whenever you get asked something that serious in this history, and people know that it didn't end well between you and Aaron Rodgers, and you start off with the joke there, I don't know how much Mike McCarthy really wants him back. Now, Mike McCarthy may think he needs him back because where else are the Steelers going to go? Like, you don't want Mason Rudolph. You don't want Will Howard being your starting quarterback. And if Rodgers wants to play, sure, go to the well with Aaron Rodgers for another year. And it would be nice to see those two guys reconcile and get back together. And that's how Aaron Rodgers' career does end with Mike McCarthy somehow on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, that would be a fun storyline. But do I think that if we got Mike shot up with truth serum, that he's really pushing to bring Aaron Rodgers back and he really wants Aaron Rodgers back? Now, it may happen, but I'm going to say the answer is no on that front. Let's hear legendary Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Big Ben Roethlisberger react to the Mike McCarthy hiring. This is on Big Ben's podcast.
Last week that I would like the McCarthy hire. I think you bring a new voice into the locker room because sometimes the the message can get repetitive and can get, we call it stale, but it can just get repetitive. I think you can bring a guy in like a Mike McCarthy, who is a Pittsburgh guy, who obviously, I know he's coached a lot of places, but you're telling me that he doesn't have black and gold like in there, like down there, somewhere down here, there's a little black and gold still brewing. And so he's going to understand the Steeler way. I've been really amazed at kind of the outpouring of disbelief, the disbelief of like, why are we doing, what an awful hire, this, that, and the other. And I'm sitting there like scratching my head at some of the people that are saying this, because I believe it's a great hire. I think we finally have an offensive-minded coach in here. I'm so excited for an offensive-minded coach because I think we have to score more than 6 points in a playoff game. Mike McCarthy has a great track record. Are we sure that we want a young guy that's unproven?
So there you go. That was Big Ben talking about Mike McCarthy. I would rather go the unproven route. Like, yes, McCarthy has a good track record, just like how Mike Tomlin had a good track record as of late. But did that lead to another Pittsburgh Steelers Super Bowl? No, it didn't. You know, since 2017, Mike Tomlin, who already won a Super Bowl, wasn't able to win another playoff game. And, like, I think McCarthy, the Super Bowl way now for the Steelers would be just winning a playoff game. And that's an organization that's used to winning Lombardi trophies. They've won 6 of them. 6 of them. So I would have gone the more unproven route with the Chris Shula or a Clint Kubiak, but they go with McCarthy. It's not a bad hire, but I don't think much is really going to change. And I think most of what we've seen recently is going to really stay the same with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Maybe more watchable on offense, but in terms of the overall product and the win total and playoff wins, I don't think much is actually going to change. Like, I'll say McCarthy wins a playoff game, at least one playoff game in Pittsburgh. I think he'll win one, but I don't think he's going to win a Super Bowl. And finally, Mike McDaniel was introduced as the offensive coordinator yesterday of the Los Angeles Chargers. You got Jim Harbaugh and you got Mike McDaniel. What a combination. Mike McDaniel is an offensive coordinator, did a press conference, and he talked about Justin Herbert, his now new quarterback.
So there's a lot of incredible plays that Justin has made. He's firmly capable, and sometimes as a coach, you can rely upon that a little too much. There's schematic ways to get completions that maybe all 3 quarterbacks on your roster would be capable of doing, of easier completions, kind of not putting so much. It can be taxing over time for a player to necessitate an incredible play too often to be able to score points and win football games. So you try to take it off of him by creating some low-cost, high-reward offense that he's firmly capable of doing, but maybe a player of lesser talent would be capable of doing as well.
There's no more excuses for Justin Herbert, who's a damn good quarterback, has had the playoff shortcomings. I don't really kill him for this year's performance because he was so banged up and his offensive line was just completely decimated with injuries. But you get your 2 tackles back. Now you had McDaniel calling plays. You got Harbaugh going on your number 3 as your head coach. You got Ladd McConkey. They'll probably go bring you in another weapon this offseason at the pass-catching position, the receiver wide receiver position. Justin Herbert's going to have to go find himself a way to go win a playoff game this year. All righty, let's go to Chad Brown right now, a coworker of mine at Compass Media Networks, calling college football and NFL games this past year. Also, Chad Brown was a former All-Pro linebacker, played for the Steelers, the Seahawks, and the Patriots. Obviously, the Patriots and the Seahawks meeting up in the Super Bowl, and Chad is kind enough to join us right now on the Zach Gelb Show on 365 Sports. Chad, how you been?
I am fantastic, my man, and I am looking forward to the Chad Brown Bowl coming up in 2 weeks.
Right. I am wearing a hoodie today to stand in solidarity with one Bill Belichick, as the voters, at least 11 of them, are not putting him in the Hall of Fame on his first year of eligibility, and Chad has a hoodie as well. How did you react to that, being someone that played for Bill Belichick and knows the game well?
Upon first hearing the news, I thought, what a bunch of vindictive, ridiculous, small-minded voters. Now that some more detail has come out about the voting process and the coaches and contributors and the senior players and all that, I suppose there could be an argument made for the process being the flaw and not the voters themselves. And so Bill Belichick, clearly, everyone, any football person of any kind of decent football acumen would say Bill Belichick is a first ballot Hall of Famer. So the Hall of Fame committee, I think, needs to look at the process to ensure that something as ridiculous as this never, ever, ever happens again. Because the Hall of Fame is the pinnacle of professional football. Every player who's picked up a ball their entire life has always wanted to be in the Hall of Fame. And when you stain the integrity of the process, as it has been with this omission or error or whatever you want to call it here for Bill Belichick, it's not a good thing for football overall. So hopefully they get this fixed as soon as humanly possible.
And there's a lot being written about this. If it goes the way that it's been written, that Bill Polian was advocating for Belichick not to get in because of Spygate and Deflategate, and he wanted him to have a punitive action for a year. Like, to me, that's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
If that turns out to be the case, that somebody who's already in the Hall of Fame is trying to interfere with someone else's Hall of Fame process, I don't know. I'm not sure if there's a Hall of Fame jail or Hall of Fame punishment. But then Bill Polian, we need to go into that if that's actually the case. Now, he has put out some conflicting information. I definitely voted for Bill. Now he's 95% sure he voted for Bill. It's now a massive cluster, you know what, and hopefully, again, they get this cleared up as soon as possible, because even Bill Polian, whatever vendetta he may have or carry for Bill Belichick, he would have to acknowledge that Bill Belichick, simply by the on-the-field contributions, clearly deserves to be in the NFL or Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Now, a lot of people today are saying the Pro Football Hall of Fame, they got to make this right. They should just reverse this and say, Bill, you're in the class this year. Like, I hear that, and even though I love Belichick, I'm a Patriot fan, that's not how I want Bill Belichick to get into the Hall of Fame. Just so someone at the Hall goes, you know what, we really messed this up. This is really a joke and a disservice to the game. We're just going to put him in anywhere because we can't not have Bill Belichick in on his first try. What would you think if the Hall of Fame did that?
I bought a fancy Mercedes when I was an NFL player, and I bought it in the city where I lived, and I had it shipped before even driving it to my home in Colorado, and they dropped it off the truck, and then they dragged it off the truck so much that a tire and a wheel needed to be replaced. And I had to tell the trucking company, you've ruined my ownership experience. Anytime something happens with this car, I'm going to think it's your fault and that you screwed this whole thing up. And so this ownership is now tainted. And now for Bill Belichick, what should be the pinnacle of his pro football life, to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, now that experience is tainted, because if the Pro Football Committee, Hall of Fame committee, jumps in and puts him in, well, that's controversial. Well, this thing that's happened now, this is controversial. At some point, he's going to be asked about it, asked his thoughts about it. Hopefully, he just does the bill and just mumbles about it and doesn't give too much information, because now this whole thing is now dirtied and sullied, and his ownership experience, like mine for my Mercedes, is going to be tainted because of how he goes into the Hall.
Sorry, by the way, that happened to your Mercedes, but it's we don't want to give any PTSD.
There's far bigger issues in life, I know.
Chad Brown here with us. So, like, the only two reasons I have on this one is that it's because of Spygate, or you just had people that Bill, because he's not Mr. Smiley with the media and he could be a little bit of a jerk, they're just annoyed and caught up in the feelings. And none of those are good enough for me to keep Bill Belichick out of the Hall of Fame. But that's like the only two things you could justify it, right? There's nothing else that it just doesn't make sense how this guy isn't in the Hall of Fame right away.
It's, again, any football person knows that this is absolutely ridiculous considering what this man has accomplished. So has it been a smooth path for him? No. Are there controversies? Of course. But at the same time, the accomplishments speak for themselves. And the accomplishments are so high that any possible controversy has to be moved to the side. And so, yes, he deserves to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But as we just talked about, his induction is now sullied. It's now dirty because of all this controversy and talk, which probably is going to go on for the next couple of days leading up to the Super Bowl. So I'm sorry, Bill. As a guy who was coached by you, who thinks of you as the greatest coach I've ever been around, and Mike Holmgren will probably go in the Hall of Fame, my coach with the Seahawks. Bill Cowher, my coach with the Pittsburgh Steelers, is in the Hall of Fame. Bill Belichick certainly deserves to be in it with those guys. And again, is the greatest coach I've ever been around.
If they are making Bill wait, do you think there's any chance when Tom is eligible that they make him wait?
Well, yeah, because now it's not just Spygate. You got to add in Deflategate to Tom, which again was proven to be ridiculous. That whole investigation process there. I would assume not. I would assume the Hall of Fame will learn its lesson, and the induction process for a current player versus a coach, contributor, or senior player is a very different process. So I cannot imagine somehow Tom Brady not getting in on the first ballot just because the process is cleaner and simpler and easier versus the contributor senior coach process. So I think Bill unfortunately got caught up in that different process, which again, if it's going to exclude Bill Belichick from being a first ballot Hall of Famer, then your process is clearly flawed.
Chad Brown here with us. All right, to get into the Super Bowl, Patriots and Seahawks. Let me start you off with a former teammate of yours, Mike Vrabel, now the coach of the Patriots. Last year, they were the 4th overall pick in the draft. Vrabel walks in, gets the most out of Drake May, brings back Josh McDaniels. Defense has been unbelievable as of late. Reminds me of those early 2000 Patriots defense. And now they're 60 minutes away from glory. What stands out to you the most about what Vrabel's been able to do as the second opportunity he's had to be a head coach in this league?
I played 15 years in the NFL and had lots of incredible teammates, lots of teammates who wear gold jackets. Well, that's a topic of this podcast. But there is no one in all 15 years who was more capable and more ready to be an NFL head coach than Mike Vrabel. Tom Brady certainly knew the offense backwards and forwards. But Mike Vrabel was a guy who knew the entire game plan every single week, backwards and forwards, and who could go toe-to-toe with Bill Belichick with pointing out things or flaws within the game plan or flaws within our opponent's structure or ways we were going to attack them. And this was when he was a current player. So now he spent time with lots of other very capable coaches, picked up all of that, brought that with him to New England, and has turned that program into a way of playing from a football team perspective that mirrors him as a player. There's not a lot of truly spectacular players on the Patriots, and Mike Vrabel was not a spectacular player, but damn, he was smart. He knew the game plan. He always executed incredibly well. He knew what his job was. He played with toughness. He played with physicality. And he always was prepared for whatever situation was going to come up on the field. And so even going back to last week in the AFC Championship game, a weather game breaks out. So it's Mike Vrabel versus Sean Payton. Sean Payton's got a Lombardi trophy. He's been doing this a long time. Sean Payton was outcoached by Mike Vrabel, particularly in the second half. Once the weather in that game turned, it became a situational football game. The Patriots coaching staff, the Patriots players were far better equipped for the situation that came up than the Broncos were, and that's why they are going to be playing in Santa Clara in 10 days.
What did you make of the Broncos' decision? No Bo Nix in that game. They had to go to Jarrett Stidham, the backup quarterback, and just the other day they fired their offensive coordinator and Joe Lombardi. What did you make of that decision?
But as far as firing Joe Lombardi, I think as a coach, sometimes you've got to look at your staff and you recognize if Davis Webb leaves, then talking about Sean Payton, then how am I going to do my best to retain this young, bright guy? And so to elevate him to offensive coordinator, move on from your longtime friend, Joe Lombardi, it's got to be a difficult thing for Sean Payton, but that's what you've got to do to retain some of these bright young coaches. And as far as going for it, I thought it was the wrong call given the situation in the game. I thought the play call itself was not a great call, particularly because you scored a touchdown on a very similar play earlier. And to think that the Patriots weren't going to go to the sideline and talk about what just happened and all the possible ways that the Broncos could either run that play again or run something out of a similar look again, and what everyone's responsibility was, that was a failure. And then number 3 was the execution on the field by the players. Jarrett Stidham and some of those offensive linemen did not execute that play properly. So it really had no chance from the beginning. I didn't like the choice to go for it. I didn't like the play call itself, and the execution was terrible as well.
If Bo Nix was in that game, are the Broncos in the Super Bowl?
Probably. Jarrett Stidham, I think, is not an awful quarterback. Did his lack of playing time show up, particularly when he was backing out of the pocket? And that's essentially what set up that illegal grounding, which ended up being a backwards pass, which ended up being, therefore a fumble, and gave the Patriots a short field to get their one touchdown of the game. That was an issue. But also in third down situations, Bo Nix has shown all year long that he's able to take off from the pocket. He's a really good athlete, and he's fast for a quarterback, far faster than Jarrett Stidham. I think he would have been able to pick up some first downs and move the chains and keep some Bronco drives alive, which could have possibly gotten them into field goal range and picked up a field goal or two and won this football game.
You know it, this time of the year, Chad Brown, it's all about winning. It doesn't matter how you win, but Drake May has not been great in this postseason. The defense has been the story for the Patriots. Going into the Super Bowl, where's your confidence level in Drake May that he goes and has a big performance coming up next Sunday?
Well, you give Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels 2 weeks to study and prepare for an opponent. I think they'll have that opponent dialed in, but that's not your question. The question is, how is Drake May going to be able to execute with that game plan that's in front of him? With 15 sacks in the first 3 playoff games for Drake May, that's not very good. The number of fumbles he's had, also, that's not very good. Can he find a way to if he can clean up those 2 things, then now suddenly this Patriots offense has a chance. I don't think they're going to suddenly transform into some high-scoring unit. They're going to lean upon the defense. They're going to lean on the run game, which, again, against the Broncos wasn't very effective, but it did what they needed to do. It shortened the game. It made their possessions long. They had a 9-minute and 31-second possession to start the second half against the Broncos. I think it'll be similar to some of those things we saw in that Bronco game. Of course, the weather will be far different. But yeah, they're not going to ask Drake May to go back and drop back and throw the ball 45 times and throw for over 300 yards. I think they recognize what they have at quarterback, so their game plan is going to be, how do we execute our offense, move the ball, possibly score some points, despite our quarterback being overwhelmed by what's happening on the field right now.
I know it's not sexy analysis, and I know it sounds cliche, but the battle of the trenches is going to determine this Super Bowl because, like you said, the Patriots got to protect Drake May better to have a shot. And then on the Patriot side of things, the defensive side of the ball, how do you go beat the Seahawks? You go make Sam Darnold turn over the football, and Milton Williams and Christian Barmore up front. They're really bringing it. I think Milton Williams was the best Patriot player this season, honestly.
Well, Zach, it's always refreshing when we can talk about something other than quarterbacks when we talk about football. And so, yes, I think Drake May and Sam Darnold are going to eat up all the ink and storylines going into this game, but their success is going to be determined by, to your point, by the offensive defensive lines of both groups. And the Patriots offensive line has certainly left something to be desired, again, giving up 15 sacks in the first 3 playoff games, where that Seahawks offensive line is actually performing pretty well after years and years and years of Russell Wilson running around for his life and having an awful offensive line in front of him. The Seahawks offensive line is pretty good. John Snyder's put together a good group. And those both teams' defensive lines, I think, have a chance to win the battle over the opposing offensive line. So now it's what group can provide enough opportunities for these quarterbacks to be successful. We've seen good Sam Darnold and we've seen bad Sam Darnold this season. He was really great last week. Can he do it again one more week against that Patriots defense, which is going to be taking away everything that he feels comfortable with, a very Bill Belichick game plan, and force him to do things that he's not comfortable doing?
What did you make of the Darnold signing in the offseason? Because he had a huge breakout year with the Vikings, but then it ended poorly with the 2 biggest games of the season. What did you think the Seahawks were getting when they brought in Sam Darnold?
I thought they were going to get a guy who was a bit more, they were going to ask him to be more of a game manager. Towards the end of Russell Wilson's time there, I know it's a different coach. It was Pete Carroll then. There was all this conversation about let Russ cook. And when Russ got to cook, particularly in Denver later on, it was shown that too much Russ is too much. And I thought, well, the Seahawks are going to try to put a limit on Sam Darnold, because if it's too much Sam Darnold, as we saw towards the end of the season in Minnesota, then that's not going to be good for your football team. But he's a guy who has shown up incredibly mentally tough and battled back from some tough times. And even in that Thursday night game against the Rams late in the season where they got the win in overtime, I was at that game. I was raising the 12th man flag for that game. And I was seated in the Seahawks suite. And there were Seahawks employees and there were Seahawk fans and Seahawk legends in the suite. And after Sam Darnold's second turnover, we all were like, well, here we go again.
Yeah.
So even the Seahawk faithful are still prepared to think, here we go again with this guy. So he has not 100% dispelled that notion that bad Sam Darnold can show up and cost you a football game.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that game, that overtime victory, because I put out a tweet. I'm like, he's not escaping those allegations tonight. And then boom, they end up winning that game 38-37, I think it was, up against the Rams in overtime. So, sitting with the ownership group and rubbing elbows with all the legends, you being one of them in Seattle, the whole 12th man thing. You also play for the Patriots. Are you rooting for someone in the Super Bowl?
I do not root. Particularly when my former teams are involved, because I got 3 of them. The Steelers were also in the playoffs.
So you can't lose.
Yeah, the Rams, I'm a raised in Southern California guy. I spent most of the year in Denver. So my rooting interest, would be so split if I were to root. So I don't root. I analyze the game as far as who's doing what and which team could possibly be successful. Right now, I think everyone's got to think of the Seahawks as, the chance with the best chances to win this football game because of the ineffectiveness of the Patriots offense. But again, 2 weeks for Josh McDaniels, 2 weeks for Mike Vrabel. They'll come up with something that will give them a great chance for success. Whether their quarterback can get that done, we'll have to see.
One last one. When you look at your Steelers, as you played for the Patriots, the Seahawks, and the Steelers, they announced and introduced Mike McCarthy yesterday. Are you on board with the hire of Mike McCarthy?
I know there's a lot of folks who are not on board. I think this is actually a pretty smart hire. With the number of job openings this year, I'm not sure if the Steelers could guarantee getting the best guy available. And with their quarterback position also in flux, why would the best guy want to go there where there's no known quarterback, where they've got seemingly a quarterback with the Giants, or they got a quarterback in Baltimore or some of these other openings? So for Mike McCarthy to step in, maybe that gives Aaron Rodgers a desire to put in another year or two. That solidifies that. We know Mike McCarthy's not going to be awful. He's going to be a guy who's experienced in multiple franchises. Some of the blue bloods in the NFL, the moment's not going to be too big for him. Does he fit the mold of Chuck Noll getting hired when he was 36, or Bill Cowher or Mike Tomlin when they were 34? No, he doesn't. But he serves as a bridge until they can get to that next guy like those other 3 guys I just talked about.
Well, one last thing, just because this was sent to me, and it has to do with Belichick. So Robert Kraft has released a statement. I just want to get your reaction on it. The statement reads, "Whatever perceptions may exist about any personal differences between Bill and me, I strongly believe Bill Belichick's record and body of work speak for themselves. As head coach of the New England Patriots for more than 2 decades, he set the standard for on-field excellence, preparation, sustained success in the free agency and the salary cap era of the NFL. He is the greatest coach of all time, and he unequivocally deserves to be unanimous first ballot Pro Football Hall of Famer." What do you make of the statement by Mr. Kraft?
Perfectly said. Perfectly said. He is the greatest coach in the history of the NFL. Again, so my window doesn't go back to the entire history of the NFL. I'm only 55 years old. But the greatest coach I've ever been around. I learned more in my first year with the Patriots, year 13 of my career, about small details and the winning edge in football than I learned in the previous 12 years combined, about those small details that make the difference between winning and losing. So if you can have that kind of impact on me, you get a statement like that from Robert Kraft, I think that speaks volumes of how the Hall of Fame committee ultimately got it wrong. Again, I understand the process is flawed, probably needs to be fixed, but he clearly deserves to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
He's Chad Brown. Chad, appreciate it. Thanks so much. Enjoy the game coming up in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks for having me on, my friend.
There you go. So you get a statement. Appreciate Chad Brown for joining us from Bill Belichick. And from Robert Kraft. I think that statement's important because there's 2 lines of thinking here. And one we've obviously have totally just discussed, and I lost my mind to start the show, and I went after Bill Polian. And I think Bill Polian is behind this. But there's also another line of thinking that a lot of people believe, and Robert Kraft was eligible, that this is going to be the year for Robert Kraft. And Robert Kraft doesn't like Bill right now. And Robert Kraft doesn't want to share the dais and the podium and the day with Bill Belichick because those two, it's ridiculous that they both have a bad relationship. And owners have so much power. So a lot of people believe that Robert Kraft really dictated this and he was quietly spearheading this behind the scenes. I would like to think that's not the case. Now, I know what happened with the Apple production in that Patriots documentary. There's a lot of people that do believe that Robert Kraft said some not so nice things to Arthur Blank about Bill Belichick and helped convince the Falcons not to hire Bill Belichick. So it's obnoxious that Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft, for how many years it worked so well and so great for them together, how now they're both being petulant. But Robert Kraft, if he doesn't release a statement today, which he just did, if he didn't release that statement, I couldn't dismiss it. What Robert Kraft just did is the complete antithesis of what Bill Polian did. Robert Kraft, it was clear and it was obvious. Whatever perceptions may exist about any personal differences between Bill and me, I strongly believe Bill Belichick's record and body of work speak for themselves. As head coach of the New England Patriots for more than 2 decades, he set the standard for on-field excellence, preparation, and sustained success in the free agency and salary cap era of the National Football League. He's the greatest coach of all time, and he unequivocally deserves to be a unanimous first-ballot Pro Football Hall of Famer. Okay? That's a statement. I'm looking to give people the benefit of the doubt. I give Robert Kraft the benefit of the doubt that there's no nefarious or malicious intent done by Robert Kraft to prevent Bill Belichick from getting into the Hall of Fame. However, when you get to then what Bill Polian said, when the accusations were made in that Seth Wickersham article, that Polian was basically leading this behind the scenes in the meetings and was basically saying we need to make Bill Belichick wait a year for Bill Polian to say in an interview with ESPN on Tuesday night, Polian denied telling fellow voters that Belichick should serve a 1-year penance for Spygate, but he said he heard his fellow voters float the idea, but he insisted he didn't agree or disagree with the proposal. So you don't agree or disagree. We don't know where you stand on that. And right, Polian said that he did vote for Kraft and even spoke up on his behalf during the deliberation, saying Kraft had no knowledge of the Spygate scheme. Polian added that he could not remember. He could not remember with 100% certainty if he voted for Belichick, saying he was 95% sure he voted for the coach and a player, most likely LC Greenwood. I was shocked to learn Bill didn't get in, Polian said. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Look at the difference with the statement that Robert Kraft gave and then the statement that Bill Polian gave. Bill Polian, yeah, I think I 95% voted for him. I can't remember who I voted for. Talk about the Hall of Fame. Like, I'm a Heisman Trophy voter. I could tell you who I voted for the Heisman. I voted for it for 4 years. Like, I could tell you and I get 3 votes. It's a similar process. I can tell you every year the people that I voted for. It's like, what? This year, Fernando Mendoza was 1. Jeremiah Love was 2 on my ballot. Or excuse me, Diego Pavia was 2 on my ballot, and then Jeremiah Love was 3. That was 1, 2, 3. Fernando Mendoza was 1. Diego Pavia was 2. Jeremiah Love was 3. It's like, what are we doing? You can't tell me with 100% certainty when you did this 2 weeks ago who you voted for? So Bill Polian talks a big game behind the scenes, but then when his ass gets held to the fire, 95% sure. Polian's such a fraud. He is such a fraud. I'm happy this guy's getting his due today. I am really happy that this guy's getting dragged today. Bill Polian should be living a good life right now, in the Hall of Fame, older guy, enjoying life now. Instead, he made a mockery of the process. Instead, he disgraced the process. Instead, Bill Polian is not going to be remembered for Hall of Famer. I don't think this is in the take. I don't think this is hot take. I don't think this is ridiculous for me to say. A lot of people are going to remember Bill Polian for this. They're going to remember Bill Polian for leading the charge to keep Bill Belichick out of the Hall of Fame on his first chance. You may like Belichick. You may hate Belichick. I understand most of you listening probably hate Bill Belichick. You can't give me an actual reason why this guy doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame right away. Can't. Don't tell me, oh, it's checks and balances for Spygate. The guy, if you want to look at the first dynasty and the second dynasty, most you can't even, understand what happened during Spygate. The guy had a second dynasty. So if you want to just sit there and pretend like the first dynasty is all wiped away from Spygate, he had a second dynasty. A second dynasty. Won 3 Super Bowls, then 10 years in between, and then 3 more Super Bowls. And that guy's not a first ballot Hall of Famer? Like, what are we doing? So it's either the voters wanted to hold him accountable, some of them, for Spygate, which is ridiculous, and this was the way of getting him back, or it was we're annoyed that Bill wasn't always warm and fuzzy when dealing with us in the press. It's the only things that it could be. Because you can't tell me his resume is not up to par to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Guy's the second most wins of all time. He has 6 Super Bowl championships as a head coach, 2 as a defensive coordinator. And that guy's not getting in on his first try? He's not? Can anyone make sense out of it for me? I'm waiting. Bueller. Like, what? And unless if something changed since we got on the air, there has not been one voter with the courage to come on out and actually say they did not vote for Bill Belichick. Marcus Mosher, who is host of Locked On Cowboys and Locked On Dynasty, senior NFL contributor at Fansided, he has been compiling a list. And his last update, 23 of the 50 Hall of Fame voters have now publicly said they voted yes for Bill Belichick. So Gary Myers said yes. Tony Grassi said yes. Mary Kay Cabot, yes. Sharon Williams, yes. Mike Sando, yes. Rich Samini, yes. Armando Seguro, yes. Kent Summers, yes. Dan Pompei, yes. Paul Kaharski, yes. John McClain, yes. Lindsey Jones, yes. Vic Carucci, yes. Jason Cole, yes. Eric Williams, yes. Jarrett Bell, yes. Dave Burkett, yes. Pete Doherty, yes. Paul Domowitch, Damo, yes. Jerry Dulac, yes. Matt Mayoko, yes. Calvin Watkins, yes. Bill Polian, doesn't remember. Sal Palantonio, yes. Ira Kaufman, to be announced at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Now, let me click on this link because there's a link with everybody. So I guess he's going on some show to do this at 4 p.m. Eastern time, is what I gather. Yeah, he's going on Sirius XM Channel 82 at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And my Siri just went off on my phone. Now, there is a no. Darren Grant. It says no. Now, let's see the reasoning. I got to get new headphones, by the way. They keep on falling out of my ears. I don't know why. When I did my other show and I was in the studio, they just didn't fall out of my ears. Now when I'm doing the show from home, I don't know if maybe it's the angle of the seat. These headphones just keep on falling out of my ears. So Darren Gant or Nat, like I have no clue how they said that guy's last name. Gantt. So they said no. Someone said you need to state your vote. He wrote, I really don't for 2 reasons. 1, because the Hall asked us not to disclose. I'd be eager to, but those are their rules. And 2, I'm kind of tired of feeding this particular outrage machine for someone else's profit. So this guy, Darren, I think he covers the Carolina Panthers. Is that enough for me to say no? Like, wouldn't you just say yes? And the Hall asks you not to. Sure, they tell me not to release my Heisman Trophy ballot until after the award is handed out. But the actual voters actually value that. They actually abide by that. You have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, they said it. There was 23. Or at least 23 that already said yes. So why are you any different? Some of these voters, they're just weird people. So I don't know if that's enough to say no, but if I was him, I'd release yes or no. But the fact that you can't relieve yes or no, and you're already talking about the mob, yeah, you're afraid. So he probably said no. And it doesn't seem like he's coming on to talk anytime soon. Can one of these guys actually have some guts? Can one of these guys actually have some balls? I want to know who voted no, and I want them to answer, and I want them to be clear and obvious in their answer. Instead, they're going to hide. They're going to hide like the cowards that they are. And that's the shame of it. The shame of it is that there's a lot of voters that go about this the right way. And the 11 that didn't made a mockery of the whole process. And I just want to hear from one of those 11. I'm not even saying all 11. I just want to hear from one of those 11 on why you didn't vote in arguably the greatest coach of all time on his first try. And I just want to hear you be stupid. I want to hear why you're not in, like why you didn't vote for Bill. I just want to hear that. I would be entertained by your stupidity. And I would love to interview you and press you on it. And not like a mean way. You know, I'll play nice. I will, but I want some serious answers. I don't want bullshit. Because I think the Spygate stuff is bullshit if that's your reasoning. But if that's your reasoning, okay. I think it's bullshit, but at least I can respect it. If you're going to tell me, oh, it's because Bill wasn't nice to me in a press conference, it's lame, it's bullshit, but at least that's your reasoning. But outside of that, those are the only two things I can think of. Spygate and then Bill hurt my feelings. Bill wasn't nice to our fellow media members. If any of those are the two reasons to keep Bill Belichick out of the Hall of Fame, you're just lost. You're lost and you shouldn't have the right to vote. All right, well, come on back. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports. When we do return, you'll hear from Jimmy Johnson, Logan Ryan, Dan Graziano, TJ Hushmanzada, and Jeff Saturday. And we'll even replay you what Tom Brady had to say before we get on out of here. All those guys have responded to Bill Belichick in his first year of eligibility not being voted into the Hall of Fame.
The 4-burner, side sear burner with Clearview Glass stainless steel grill from Monument Grills. Made of tempered glass, which is strong, insulated, and allows you to check your grilling without lifting the lid. Our porcelain-coated cast iron cooking grids offer a large cooking surface of 513.3 square inches, primary cooking area, with even heat cooking. The Monument Grills include LED control knobs and are easy to light with pilotless electronic ignition. Better grilling, better value, Monument Grills.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
I'm Abby Dommett, 2023 CrossFit Games athlete, and I use Airwave because it helps me breathe easier and stay more relaxed during my workouts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very discreet.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Some super chats today. Evil Badger 72. I think he's just trying to get me to go on another rant. He gave us some money and he wrote Bill Bella cheat. Oh, thank you for your donation. I don't like the commentary. Psych Mampter, who does a great job making a bunch of social media things for us, whatever he just wants.
and whenever we request, a longtime listener of the show, Psych, if you want to do a Photoshop, just have me stomping on Bill Polian's throat. That would be appreciated, or maybe just fighting him. Psych Mampter wrote, Bill Polian is a D-bag. And he gave us some money. So appreciate Psych Mampter as well. Let's get the poll question up there. Let's get the final calculations on the poll question, and we'll hear or we'll watch some videos on Jimmy Johnson, Logan Ryan, Dan Graziano, TJ Hushmanzada, and Jeff Saturday. Go on back and take a glance at what happened to Bill Belichick. Should Bill Belichick be a first ballot Hall of Famer? Yes. Resume equals lock, 79%. No, scandals/struggles matter. What are the struggles? The scandals, okay, if you want to use that, I think it's lame, but 79% to 21%. I was hoping at least get in the 90% range, like 90, 95%, but I could live with those results. At least I know 79% of the people listening actually have a brain today. Someone just texted me, did Bill Polian forget his Prevagen? And that's why he can't remember. Oh, that's not nice. That's why he can't remember who he voted for. No. Bill Polian's just a whiny, salty little bitch. Like, that's the nicest way I can say it. And I know it's not nice. But he's just still bitching and complaining all those times Bill Belichick kicked his ass. Oh, man. I can't. I never liked Bill Polian. Never liked him because of how much of a crybaby he is. And now the rest of the world's getting to see it today. So, Bill, you made your bed. Now go live in it. That's what you got to do. Now you got to go lie in it. All right, let's hear from Jimmy Johnson. He's been so critical of this stuff, and he can't stand that Bill Belichick is not in the Hall of Fame. He called the voters that did not vote him a bunch of, vote Bill in, a bunch of cowards and a-holes, and he wants them to reveal their identity. But Jimmy Johnson was on with Joe Rose on WQAM, 1043 WQAM, a great radio station in Florida, which actually I did the afternoon show just a few days ago with Mark Hochman, Shannon Crowder, Alejandro Solana, and Jimmy, one of the best crews in radio. But their morning show is hosted by Joe Rose, a longtime talk show host, former Miami Dolphin. He had Jimmy Johnson on, and Jimmy Johnson basically said Spygate actually isn't that big of a deal for anyone that's saying Bill shouldn't be in right away because of Spygate. Here was Jimmy Johnson.
Let me just stop you there, Joe.
Okay.
First of all, the Deflategate, was proven invalid. That was BS. The Spygate thing, let me tell you what. A lot of the teams in the league did this. In fact, we actually got it from Howard Mudd, who was a coach for Kansas City at the time. And he told us exactly how to do it, to film the opponent's, signal caller on and on. We tried it. It was just such a mess. We weren't very good at it. Howard Mudd was great. Howard was the offensive line coach, and he would actually signal to his offensive guard. You could see him in the huddle looking to the sideline. He would signal whether or not it was a blitz or whether or not it was zone, et cetera, and they were really good at it. And Howard Mudd later on went and coached for Bill Polian and Tony Dungy at Indianapolis. But we tried it, and it was such a mess. We weren't very good at it, so we stopped doing it. But I know, talking to the coaches around the league at that time, there were a lot of teams that did this, trying to steal signals.
So Jimmy Johnson said that he did it. Now, I'll acknowledge Bill went too far in doing it. There's a lot of things that have been misreported. But basically what the technicality is that the NFL went to Bill Belichick and they said, stop doing this. Like, you are allowed to legally record from a certain yard line. Like, let's just say it was in between the 35s or something like that. And he was outside of the area that you were allowed to record in. That's basically the truth that I know it from Spygate. So I've always thought Spygate was overrated. Did Bill need to do it? No. It's kind of stupid that he did it. But do I think it really impacted those games? I don't. I know people are going to say, oh, well, then why did he do it? But there's Jimmy Johnson saying they tried it, they weren't good at it, and it's really not a big deal, and that's a coach that is in the Hall of Fame. Let's hear Logan Ryan, played for Bill Belichick, won 2 Super Bowls. Here is Logan Ryan's reaction on Bill Belichick not getting into the Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility.
I think the system is flawed, and this is a major example and a stain that needs to be adjusted in our voting system. Because honestly, I think the NFL lose a lot of respect today. It truly loses a lot of respect and credibility of this voting system. I try to find one more egregious, like maybe when Ichiro wasn't like a unanimous Hall of Famer, first ballot or whatever, but I can't think of another example as egregiously bad as this one. This is an all-timer right here.
Here's the thing. Like, I got a tweet last night. Well, Jeter wasn't unanimous for the Hall of Fame in baseball. He got in on his first year of eligibility. It's not like he didn't get in. If this was one or two people didn't vote, all right, I would have thought it was ridiculous. How do you not vote Bill Belichick? But he still got in. Bill didn't get in. The Hall of Fame is going to be announced next week when everyone's at the Super Bowl, and Bill Belichick should be in, and he's not. I just saw, by the way, from Ian O'Connor, because all this stuff is starting to leak out, that Eli Manning, second-year eligible, didn't get in. Now, Eli kind of reminds me of Curt Schilling, not in terms of politics or personality, but Curt Schilling was a good regular season pitcher. If it was just based off regular season alone, Curt Schilling wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Eli Manning was a good regular season quarterback. In the postseason, Curt Schilling was one of the best postseason pitchers I've ever seen. In the postseason, Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. When you have a good regular season and an all-time great postseason, that gets you in the Hall of Fame if you're on the cut line. So, especially with the last name Manning, I'm surprised that they're going to make him wait at least 2 years. But this stuff keeps on leaking. I felt like when I was growing up, this stuff, and maybe I was naive to it, I felt like this stuff didn't really leak out. And I think they would used to do the vote on that Friday or Saturday, and like the guys were locked in the room, and you were waiting for the big fella Baker to come knocking on your door and let you know if you got in. But now they tell people in advance. I think that change kind of happened around COVID, and then eventually people know, and then it gets out. Like last year, walking around Radio Row, it wasn't revealed yet the results, but everyone knew that Eli Manning didn't get in. Like if I just wanted to listen to someone speak, they would tell me Eli Manning didn't get in. That's what they heard. So I think Eli will inevitably get in, but they're going to make him wait at least another year. Let's go to Dan Graziano, who covers the NFL. He was on ESPN earlier this morning discussing Bill Belichick not getting in the Hall of Fame.
It's embarrassing. If I were a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame voting body, I'd be embarrassed about it, and I'd make it very clear that I was not one of the 11 plus who decided not to vote for him. I used to be a Baseball Hall of Fame voter. We took a lot of grief about that process, which is absolutely fairer and more sensible than this one. The Pro Football Hall of Fame voting process is inane and should be completely overhauled, and this has been true for a long time. Maybe this will prompt something of a change because, again, they should be embarrassed. There's no reason not to put Bill Belichick in the Hall of Fame. You're going to tell me Spygate and Deflategate. This is a voting body that has for years insisted that it only focuses on what happened on the field. Are you going to hold Tom Brady out over Spygate and Deflategate too? Like, are you going to be consistent with that? And by the way, there's guys in there that have been suspended for performance-enhancing drugs, for gambling, for all kinds of things. So now, when it comes to Belichick, it matters, and it's never mattered before. I think it's a crock.
Certainly is.
I think it's because Belichick at times could be a turd. That's what it is. Belichick rubs people the wrong way. Belichick isn't warm and friendly with the media. And you had 11 people, and I know it's not just the media. When you factor in Bill Polian, who's just annoyed because Belichick just kicked his ass for so many years, that's what leads to at least 11 people. And we don't really know. Maybe we know one guy, 2 guys. But we don't really know who the other 9 guys are. We don't even know if 2 guys clearly, because the guy Dan or whatever his name was, he wasn't clear with it. And Bill Polian's like, oh, I can't remember who I voted for. And I don't think Bill Polian voted for Bill Belichick, but that's what I think it is. It's those 2 things. It's either Spygate or it's just not liking Bill Belichick. Either way, neither are sufficient to me to have the result that Bill Belichick doesn't get in the Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. And it's a joke. Let's hear from TJ Hushmanzada, former NFL player, on Bill Belichick not getting into the Hall in his first year of eligibility.
Number one, when you make that statement, Bill Polian, you're lying. And you know you're lying.
Okay.
You know you didn't vote for him. Yeah. You know you didn't vote for him.
Talk, T.
Don't lie.
Talk, T.
This is perfect because, one, Bill Belichick, and when I say this is perfect, it's because this whole process now needs to be overhauled. It needs to be overhauled. The whole voting process is guys that's in that probably shouldn't be in, and there's guys that aren't in that really should be in. If you didn't vote for Bill Belichick, you should be stripped of your voting rights.
Bingo.
Everybody that didn't vote for Bill Belichick, you should be. He's earned this, man. He's earned this. Like when you earn something, you should get rewarded for what you've accomplished. The same thing they did to T.O. Same thing they did to T.O.
Yep.
T.O. should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. He wasn't. Anybody that did not vote for Bill Belichick should be stripped. They should never be able to vote again.
That's an
They
incredible
should
take.
never be able to vote again because they made this personal. Was it we on the baseball stuff. They felt like he cheated, so we're not voting him in.
Yep.
Are you not going to ever vote him in now?
Yep.
Because that's what's happened in baseball. The guys that cheated, they have yet to get voted in.
Yep.
So now you're going to do this with Bill? Or did you not vote him in because he was mean to you in press conferences and you're holding the grudge that he was mean to you? He didn't give you the answer you wanted. I don't know Belichick. I met him, said what's up. But for him and his family, bro, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Because he's earned this. When you think, you can't even tell the story of the National Football League without bringing up Bill Belichick. You can't tell the story of the National Football League without bringing up Bill Belichick.
Yeah, Emmanuel Acho, be quiet there for a second. Just let TJ Houshmandzadeh cook. Just let him cook, because everything TJ Houshmandzadeh said was 1,000% right. And also, how cool would it have been? Because they bring you out there Super Bowl week, right? They have you at the award ceremony, the award show, and then on that Sunday, they have you at the game getting honored at some point during the game. Like the Patriots, Belichick's former team, are in the Super Bowl. It would have been the perfect timing before you even get to the summer. All righty, let's hear Jeff Saturday. A lot about Bill Polian. I don't know if Jeff Saturday addressed this, but Jeff Saturday, former Colt, he did address Bill Belichick not getting into the Hall.
It just makes our Hall of Fame look super silly. I mean, right? It's like, to your point, who is going in before Bill Belichick? And no one should. And so now he being left off. And look, I get the whole procedure thing that we're trying to church this thing up. That anybody of any of the 50 didn't check the box for Bill Belichick, it's silly. He is the most accomplished coach we've had and I played for a Hall of Fame coach. And listen, I competed against Bill Belichick. My goodness, I would have checked the box. That anyone didn't check the box. To me, I don't care what mindset, maybe I can help somebody else. Absolutely not. Check the box of the guy who deserves it the most, and then let the other two guys, you could fish it out that way. But to your point, the most accomplished coach in NFL history not getting in, everybody going in the Hall of Fame this year is going to be like, wow, I went in above Bill Belichick. Fantastic. You definitely deserved it. Nope, you did not. You did not.
It's kind of unfair for the guys that do get in because it's going to be such a joyous moment, but then everyone's going to be saying that, how does Belichick not get in? It's a good point by Jeff Saturday. And then one more time, just in case you missed it, and then we'll get on out of here. This was Tom Brady. He jumped on Seattle radio with Salk and Heward. I think it's Brock Heward and Mike Salk out in Seattle. And Tom Brady did react to Bill Belichick not getting into the Hall in his first year of eligibility.
How did you react yesterday or this morning when you heard that Bill was not selected to be in the Hall of Fame in his first shot?
I just think that, to me, I don't understand it. I mean, I was with them every day. If he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, there's really no coach that should ever be a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is completely ridiculous because people deserve it. And he's incredible. There's no coach I'd ever want to play for. I'd rather play for. If I'm picking one coach to go out there to win a Super Bowl, give me one season, I'm taking Bill Belichick. So that's enough said. There's nothing outside of that. Again, when it comes down to votes and, popularity and all that, then welcome to the world of voting. And you may as well go, try out for the Oscars or whatever and, get a big panel to tell you if you're good or not. So it's the way it works. And unfortunately, he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. In the end, I'm not worried about that. And a lot of times in life, for all of us, things don't happen exactly how you want them on your timeline, but we'll all be there to celebrate him when it does happen. And he's going to have a huge turnout from so many players, coaches that appreciated everything that he did and the commitment that he made to winning and the impact that he had on all our lives. And that'll be a great celebration when it happens.
So there you go. That was Tom Brady. So Bill Polian is the rat in all this. In one interview, that's totally and categorically untrue. I voted for him. In the other interview, I can't remember with 100% certainty if I voted for Bill Belichick or not. Yeah, sure. Sure, Bill. Sure, Bill Polian. Sure. That will do it for the Zach Gelb Show. Was rocking my hood in solidarity with Bill Belichick all throughout the show. Bill, you got screwed. Big thanks to Garrett Ross. Big thanks to each and every one of you. Big thanks to Chad Brown for stopping on by. We'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central Time. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, that's how you do watch us. Make sure you subscribe to 365 Sports. Give me a follow, Twitter and Instagram at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB, or on TikTok at The Zach Gelb Show. And I will talk to you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central Time. The Zach Gelb Show on 365 Sports. We're here 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 to 3 p.m. Central on Monday through Fridays. We will talk on a Thursday tomorrow at 2. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.